Oh, snap, son. It's time for them boys. That's right, them Triple B boys. We got Mike Bowerman, Mr. Bower Tendo, the man with the face so crappy that he needs to make us see it twice on his hat. Then we got Celiac Matt, Matthew Worsham over here, the gentleman with the facial hair you would usually not find within 5 miles of a school. And then you have the one and only me. You can call me Hero Omega Man X. You can call me SM Stevens Streams, just don't call me Shirley. Scott Stevens! And this is the Buds Bustin' Balls! Anyway, what are you guys drinking?
One, I love that close up of your face screaming into the camera. That was delightful. And you mentioned I have a mustache that usually goes with someone that shouldn't be within 5 miles of a school. I'm within like 2 feet of a school, so I better
Oh, well,
move.
don't
Is
let
what
you
I'm hearing. It's time for me
have,
to
have
move.
you have you filed on Emily's list yet?
No, but I have voted at that school before. But anywho, what I am drinking is water, the tried and true delicious water.
Mm,
What about you,
mm.
Mike?
I am drinking a caramel coffee from a sandal.
That is a worn sandal that man is drinking out of.
I use it a lot for my drinks, okay?
Sometimes you just need a special koozie.
Look, I can't drink my coffee without a shoe, so,
As for me, I know who watches our podcast mostly, so I'm going to do a little pandering. I am drinking a crisp, delightful Canada Dry. But not just any Canada Dry. Ginger ale and raspberry lemonade. I'm going to be honest, Canada Dry with lemonade.
Thumbs up.
It is. It's kind of an ironic name, though, because if I know one thing about Canadians, they are never dry. They're always like, a little bit of a misleading name.
Keeps them warm in the snow.
All right, guys. So what are we playing? I can kick it off because it's very uninteresting. I'm still playing Diablo, trying to get to level frickin' 100. And I am still playing Fortnite, trying to get to level frickin' 100. So there we go. I yield the floor.
All right, well, I'm playing little Vampire Survivors and No Man's Sky are like my brainless, I got something on in the background. I'm just, playing them. But the things that I'm actually playing, still Sea of Stars, because, it's an RPG, so it's going to be a while. And I got every trophy except for 2, the New Game Plus and Ultimate on Spider-Man Remastered. I'll come back and get those. So now I've moved on to Miles Morales to prep for Spider-Man 2. I'm very excited for it.
That's rad. The game I've been playing the most has been Final Fantasy 16, and that game kicks all the butt. I don't care for a lot of RPGs, and this is really not a turn-based. This is an action adventure, and I'm having a blast with it. I would say it was a 9 out of 10 game, but I'm going to say it's an 8 out of 10 game now because some of the side quests are just not fun. They're boring. But the game, the core story content, it's superb. But one thing I really wanted to bring up is it's a game we actually haven't played recently, in like the past few weeks, but the past few months, on the Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy service, they had the Pokemon trading card game, which was a super loved game by Scott and I. And I know Mike played it for the first time, and we were just chatting back and forth on Discord about like how much fun we're having playing this Pokemon trading card game from 1998. And you know what I found? Because I'm getting ready to have some new flooring installed as I'm making some room. I found my physical copy here of the Game Boy game of the Pokemon trading card game. I found it today as I was making room, and I just thought that was the coolest thing. So this was a game we were playing a lot on the NSO and having a lot of fun. But here's my physical Game Boy copy of the Pokemon trading card game.
That's dope. We got to play some more matches, by the way. I got to get my revenge on you after that crippling loss that I got.
That you lost to yourself with that one. It was stupendous.
It was freaking stupid coin flips. Bullshit.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Scott, you want to tell us what we're talking about? Am I just taking it from here?
Take it from here, buddy. Let
All
us know
right.
what we are talking about today.
We talked about wrestling last week. Now we're getting back to our more tried and true shtick. And don't worry, we will change it up a little bit, but we are talking about video games. In particular, what we're talking about today are video games that we have given up on or quit. Some games suck. Maybe you suck and you got bored. We're talking about games we played a decent amount and just stopped or never finished. Scott and Mike are not like me, where I have quit on a lot of games. They, I feel, are a bit more stubborn and will see a game through. So I did open up the question to long-standing games that they played a lot that they maybe have just stopped playing. It's up to them to kind of share that with you. But I got some points I want to talk about. I don't want to hear why you quit a game. What I want to hear right now are the games that you did quit. I think it'd be fun to talk about the games first, and then we'll dive into why we quit those games after. I'll open it up with some. I was thinking about like what are the games that are basically the most recent and the most applicable or might have the most biggest shock impact on people because their games are just never finished. So I'm going to list a couple that I have not finished that I played a lot of. The last two Paper Mario games, never finished it. Actually made it to the final boss on both those games, never beat it. Hogwarts Legacy, a game I played a lot, stopped playing, never beat it. Monster Hunter World, put a lot of time in it, stop playing it. And the last two might get me some heat. Phantom Hourglass on the DS. Zelda Phantom Hourglass is a game that I quit. And I won't say I quit the game. I probably will come back, just not anytime soon. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I just stopped playing that game. We'll talk about why in a little bit. I want to talk about Mike right now. Mike, what are some games that you have quit?
So I got quite a so like Matt had said, I don't I rarely even return games, and that's why like I've started to embrace the digital storefront more because I just don't I rarely ever do it. Like game really has to really piss me off or be really bad for me to be like I don't even want this anymore. And even then, it's not a guarantee that I don't finish it. I do have an example later, but three games that come to mind, like just immediately come to mind. Paper Mario Sticker Star. I got that free, and that was still too much for that game. Still too much for that game.
He got it free and still said no.
I got it absolutely 100. Not like I bought a subscription. No, I literally got it for free from the Nintendo or my Nintendo or whatever. Like I had all these gold coins from other games that I was already buying anyway, and so I was like, oh okay, I got a free game, and I got Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, which was a banger, and then I got Paper Mario Sticker Star, which was the complete opposite. So Paper Mario Sticker Star, garbage. Returnal, I put a large amount into that, and finally I had enough. But I still haven't given it back. So like maybe one day I'll change my mind. Probably not. And this one really pains me. Gran Turismo 7. That one really pains me, and I'll get more into why a little bit later. So those are the three that just immediately came to mind.
Oh man, I am very curious to hear, in particular, about Gran Turismo. For you are a big, big racing game fan, so that'd be a fun one to hear. Scott, what are the games that you have quit on?
So this was actually a kind of a difficult question for me because 20 years ago, younger, impressionable Scott, I would get games I know nothing about and play it a bit like, I don't like this, I'm going to stop. Now I'm very picky. I, for the most part, will only start a game if it has a good track record with me, which that's the key. More to come on that later. But some games that I have given up on in recent times is going to be Doom Eternal. Probably I wouldn't even say, it depends what we consider playing a significant chunk of time into there. It took me about 5 hours to realize that I don't want to keep playing this. And I was going to go and list actually multiple Pokemon games, but I'm just going to lump in Pokemon all into one. Pokemon from the last, 7, 8 years. I don't think there's been one that I've beaten in quite some time, which if you know anything about me, I'm a very geeky Pokemon guy. We talked about in the beginning of this episode, us getting really big into Pokemon trading card game. I used to play the Pokemon trading card game physical, collect cards when I was younger. Bought almost every single Pokemon game, and yeah. Sorry, getting off topic. Last, I'm going to do a little bit of a wild card, something I didn't put on our outline we worked on.
Let's
And
go.
this may get Mike a little triggered. I think he likes this one. BioShock Infinite.
Ooh.
I
Mm.
I loved that game when it came out. I replayed it again later on. I don't like it.
Bite
It's
your
not
tongue,
bad.
Scott. Bite your tongue. Don't say anything more. But those are going to be Scott. Doom Eternal, recent Pokemon, BioShock Infinite.
Ooh.
I am so excited to hear why you guys quit because I know the reason we quit games. I think a lot of it's going to be for you guys to quit a game, it has to be a lot more to me. A lot of mine are like, all right, I kind of got bored. I'm excited to hear why you guys quit certain games. And that is going to be the second point I wanted to address. I wanted to establish the playing field, the games that we're going to talk about to maybe get some of you angry or thinking about why they would quit it. Maybe you agree. I don't know. Let us know in the comments at the end of this, by the way. What I want to know, and I'll start, but the question I'm going to ask is two-part. What made you quit those games? And will you ever go back? That one might be more focused for me because it sounds like you guys pick games that you're like, no. For me, maybe. We'll see. And I'll talk about that. I want to talk about Paper Mario. The reason why I quit those games, and let me preface, I loved the Paper Mario games. The N64 one was great. Love the N64 one. GameCube one is peak, top game, one of my favorite games of all time. Super Paper Mario on the Wii moved it away from turn-based to a more sort of action, like live type game. I still liked it, but all the games after that, the combat was just so dumb, so bad, not fulfilling, overly complicated while also not being complicated. It just wasn't fun. Like one of the Paper Mario's, you fought with like a card-based system, which maybe I'd enjoy it more now because I've enjoyed like Slay the Spire, Marvel Snap, like things with cards that do things that dictate your actions. But the stupid one, and I love the writing of these games, but I hated whatever the most recent one's called. Is it Color Splash? I think, where it's has this like weird sort of grid, circle grid that you have to like navigate. It's like a puzzle to like fight, and it just wasn't fun. I literally made it to the final the final bosses of both the last Paper Mario games. And I just said, this isn't fun. And I stopped and I walked away. That was it for me. But instead of going through my entire list, I want to go kind of game by game from you guys. So for me, Paper Mario bosses, combat just sucked. The combat sucks. It drove me nuts. That's why I quit. Scott, I want to hear about Doom Eternal. Why did you quit Doom Eternal?
So, like I mentioned, for me, if I don't go and like browse tons of reviews, watch gameplay footage of a game, it's usually because it's a sequel to a game that I very much enjoyed, and I kind of like, all right, I bought in. I love the first one. How can you mess up the second one? In the case of Doom Eternal, I very much think that they everything they did right for Doom, what is it? Doom 2016, is that official? 2016. It completely lost its magic. It lost the it factor. Kind of like Borderlands 2 going into Borderlands 3. It's like you lost the magic in that one. A couple reasons why I feel that way about Doom Eternal is one, something I loved about Doom, you can just kind of turn off your brain. You go into a room, do a little exploring, then you get ambushed by monsters, and you can kind of just turn off your brain and go into that deep dark place in your head. It's just like, I'm gonna go and blow the shit out of all these monsters. And like, yeah, sometimes you need to do a little thinking, like, oh crap, I'm about ready to die, grab this. But for the most part, it's just kind of like turn off your brain, wipe out monsters, rinse and repeat. Very good fun, very cathartic. Gets out, Doom Eternal, it had added so many mechanics to the combat. Like, I'm trying to shoot things, and I have pop-ups saying, oh, collect this. If you get enough, you can do a super punch and collect this stuff. Oh, use this mechanic. Oh, don't forget to go and use your charge up alternative fire. It's just like, I constantly am getting taken out of the moment having to go and like figure out these mechanics. Like, oh, wait, I have things glowing. Should I do a punch thing now? It just wasn't very fluid to me. And it's one of those things where maybe if I kept at it, it would feel a little bit better. But 5 hours in, it just didn't flow right with me. It did not feel good at all like Doom did. And then the second thing that really bothered me about that game is it tried fixing a lot of things that didn't need fixing from the first Doom. So I think I mentioned in a previous episode before, going back to the Borderlands example, I thought Borderlands 1 was a great game. Played Borderlands 2, and they fixed things from Borderlands 1 that I didn't even know needed fixing. I'm like, thank you. I didn't even know I wanted this, but I definitely wanted it. I feel like the danger of that, though, is kind of what they did with Doom Eternal, where they tried to fix things that weren't broken from the first game, and they actually were things they killed that had charm. Like, the story, It's like, I don't need a complicated story. There's a portal to hell. Demons are pouring in on Mars. Kill the shit out of them. Now they're trying to go like, oh, well, there's these demon lords and they're collecting this and they're doing that. And it's just like, I'm here to follow a story. I'm just here to kill demons. Don't. It just, they added an overworld map and you can select your level. It really, everything I loved about Doom, they kind of, with that sequel. So that is why I did not like Doom Eternal and I stopped it.
I
So
can't
for-
confirm because I did beat the entire game, and I can't confirm, Scott, it doesn't get any better. It just
Oh man.
kind of, they added, like you hit it on the head. They added so much, and yet somehow that game was more boring than the first. Like the first game is not boring at all. It's very engaging and it's super simple. That's all we needed, you know. The second one, they tried to like add RPG elements and open world elements and all this stuff, and it was like and platforming, because we love platforming in our first person shooters.
Oh, definitely. Can't live without that, man. So, and to answer Matt's question of will I go back to it? I don't know. Maybe if society crumbles and no new games are made anymore and I'm running low on my backlog. I mean, I guess in theory, maybe if my legs got blown off and I can't leave my house, I'll eventually get to the point where I can replay Doom Eternal. But I kind of consider the gaming universe like the real universe. The real universe is expanding faster and faster and spreading out quicker and quicker. When I was young, it's like, okay, maybe 2 games came out a year that I wanted. No, now it's 5. Now it's 15. Now it's like there's more new games that I'm more interested in playing coming out quicker than my urge to go back and revisit Doom Eternal. So, long story short, probably not.
I guess the real litmus test here, we can reference the question that we did previously about no games and bacon, or no games in or all the games and no games or whatever. Would you rather eat bacon than play Doom Eternal?
Yes.
Ooh. He'd
Damn,
rather eat
that's
bacon.
that's
I'd
damning.
rather eat my bacon.
You just cooked Doom Eternal to a nice crispy char and then just not ate it. You just had some straight up bacon.
That wasn't just cooking, that's hellfire cooking.
there you go. So that is, I think, a big flaw in a lot of modern gaming is you don't need a whole lot in a game. Like some games, it's cool. I can't remember the game, but I played one within a year or so ago where I was like 90% through the game. And up until that 90%, it seemed like every single story mission, they added a new mechanic or thing that you could do. Like it paused the gameplay to say, hey, you can do this now. You can do that now. I'm just like, bruh, if you keep delivering things that aren't just like general advancements or maybe special moves through the entire game, it makes me feel like I am never ready to play the game because it makes me feel like I'm still having to work to get things. A game should give you most of its core mechanics, I think, within the first couple of hours. Great example is Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. They say, here's your stuff, nothing else. The atmosphere might change, the environment might change, but you have all the tools necessary immediately. I hate when games just keeps, now you can do this, an hour later, now you can do that. I feel you. Didn't play the game, but I think that is a great critique of modern gaming. You don't need a million options and things. And I think Starfield is suffering because of that. That's probably a controversial statement for some people. You don't need all that much. You don't.
And it's
So
funny
I'm with
because
you.
the people that like that game right now, just a side note here, the people that do like Starfield, every single one of them that I've seen has said, play the main quest. Don't do anything else. Just do main quests and then get to the end. Trust me on this, because then the game gets good. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to enjoy the game while I play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the example I always like using, this is mostly for shows. Like, yeah, the first season sucks, but watch through it to get to the second season. It's so good. It's like if somebody walked up to you and it's like, I'm gonna kick you in the balls, but after I kick you in the balls, I'm gonna give you some great ice cream. Say, screw you, you ain't kicking my balls. And like, why would you do that with watching your show? Yeah, go through a visual ball kicking, but afterwards you get an ice cream in season 2. It's like, no, who would do that?
Mike's gonna say
One exception is Parks and Rec. So
there it is.
don't.
Okay.
Actually,
got me there.
I won't even say
You
that.
got me there.
Don't even watch season 1. Season 1 doesn't
Honestly,
exist.
true.
Just start season 2. You're fine. You're fine.
Avoid the ball kick. Start in season 2.
Yeah, just get
Avoid
the
the
ice
ball
cream.
kick.
Just say, how about you don't kick me in the balls and just give me the ice cream, and then
By the
they
way,
continue
avoid
to
the
give you
ball
more ice
busting.
cream. Yeah, the ball
By the way,
busting.
I think the name of this episode will have to be what does Scott say? Visual ball kicking.
Yeah.
That's a contention for me. All right, I want to ask Mike about Paper Mario Sticker Star, a game I never played, but I want to hear about it. Mike, why did you quit that game? And I'm going to assume you're not coming back, but confirm to me. Why did you quit that game, and are you ever going back to it?
Yeah, so Paper Mario Sticker Star. So I actually, so the Paper Mario you talked about, Origami King, I actually enjoyed that. I didn't enjoy it like Thousand Year Door. It's not like the older Paper Marios. It's not like Mario RPG that's going to be coming out here, like the remake is coming out. It's not like those. Those are, I don't, I don't want to say it's not debatable because some people prefer the newer ones, and that's fine. For me, those older ones won't. We need more of those, right? But they've effectively killed them. Of the newer Paper Mario's, Origami King, I really enjoyed. I really did enjoy it because there was a sense of progression. There was a sense of moving. It wasn't necessarily experience, but there were other things that progressed and got you like more stuff, right? The problem with Sticker Star is literally battle. I'm not being facetious. I'm not over exaggerating here. Battling does not matter, which makes no sense in a game like that. In an RPG, that doesn't make sense. You could literally, like, when you fight enemies, you get no experience. You get minimal stuff like coins and stuff back. You use stickers to fight, which the thought of that didn't turn me off because there's actually a game coming out tomorrow called Batten Kaitos that came out on the GameCube 1 and 2. I played the first one that I loved, and it's card-based. So it's like a turn-based RPG, but using cards. So it's kind of like I loved it back in the day. Now I'm like really excited to get back into it because I love card games now, right? So anyway, it's not like that. So I wasn't against that, but you literally get nothing from it. So I was like, I want to test something out. I just started avoiding all enemies. Literally, just like I'd see them on the screen, I just avoid them. And I was progressing the story. I just had to fight main bosses. And I was like, why am I didn't care about the story. I didn't care about anything. The game didn't look good. The game didn't run well. It was garbage. And the progress was just absolute booty crack. So I would say Paper Mario Sticker Star because of no progression. That's what I'd say.
And you're not going back to that one, right?
Never. I'm never going back. It's on my 3DS, I think, still, because I downloaded it. I got it for free. But free was too much.
That's fair. All right, let's power blast through some of these last ones for me real quick, and then I do want to hear about Pokemon from Scott, and definitely Gran Turismo from Mike. So for me, real quick, Hogwarts Legacy, open world syndrome, which we've talked about quite a bit. It just there's too much. There's too much in it. I got tired of it, and my wife says, "Matt, you got to start skipping the side quest and just focus on the main story." And that goes against like every fiber of my being. And she's saying that to help me, not like she's an advocate for the game. She says, "Matt, just play the story, and if you want to play more, it's there. It's sitting for you." And my brain just can't let me do it. So that's what I need to do, and it's just hard for me to get over that. Monster Hunter World just got too grindy for me. Just doing the same thing over and over and over again wasn't my cup of tea. But Phantom Hourglass, I just thought was terrible. I just thought it was a bad design. I hated going back to the same dungeon over and
That
over again.
freaking castle or whatever, the main
Exactly.
garbage, bad mechanic, bad.
Wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. And then for me, Tears of the Kingdom, it's just I have so many other games going on and so many other things I wanted to touch. I hate just being, I used to only be in one game the whole time, but now I'm in like 50 different games. I want to be in all these things at once. And it's hard for me to get back into a game that's just so absorbing. So that's not a knock on Tears of the Kingdom. It's just that
It's too big.
so much. It's so big. It's very, very big. And I'm trying to play a lot of other things. I do want to hear about Pokemon from Scott, though. And I do have a few other points we'll be talking about, some subjects. They're going to be a lot quicker than this one, guys. Don't you worry. This is the core of it. And the rest of it is going to be kind of like a how do we cope with it? Stay tuned for that one. But I want to hear Scott, Pokemon, a game you quit on. Tell me about it.
So the thing I need to go and keep in mind when I play these Pokemon games is they're being designed for kids. And yes, I got into it when I was a kid. And definitely they're not games being made to cater to 35-year-olds anymore. With that said, there needs to be some type of challenge. Like, it's not that I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older. It's you made the games dumber. I remember at the point where you have to go and grind to go level up, and gym leaders were challenging. Now, literally, I can steamroll every trainer. There's no challenge in the game at all anymore. And again, I understand it's made for kids primarily, but please add some type of challenge to the game. It's kind of funny because the last probably 3 generations of Pokemon games, I literally quit right before the Elite Four because I just like, oh, I'm there at the end of the game. I haven't had any challenge so far. And the game's basically done at this point. Yeah, I'm out. I'm basically at the end already, and I haven't had fun yet, and I haven't been challenged at all. I don't like this at all, and that's the big thing with Pokemon for me. It's just missing that challenge factor. It's missing that innovation factor, and yeah, like whoever's working on the Zelda games, they need to go and hire them at Game Freak to put them in charge of a Pokemon game. Even though, what was it, Pokemon Arceus,
Legends, Arceus or something.
Yeah.
Arceus.
It had flaws. I mean, granted, I haven't played it, but it was pretty obvious it had flaws. But I will not say anything bad about that game because they tried something new at least, and and I very much appreciated that. Mainline Pokemon games, they need to go start taking more risks like that and stop spoon feeding it all to you.
Pokemon Company needs a whole lot more. needs
they
a whole
do.
lot more. They're a mess.
Legends was fun. I like the difference. It does suffer from the Pokemon effect where it was just too easy. Like it really was. So games need to have some form of challenge where you don't just push button to win. Mike, your last two were Returnal and Gran Turismo. Returnal, just fire rapid on that one real quick. But Gran Turismo, that's the one I want to hear because you love racing games.
Yeah, so Returnal's really simple. So I was super stoked about it. It had an Aliens vibe to it. I was all about it. It was like coming with the PS5. I had my PS5, so it's like, sweet. This is an actual PS5 exclusive. Let's do it. And it's a bullet hell roguelike. And those two genres are not my thing. That's like you say roguelike, and I'm like, ooh. And then you say bullet hell, and I'm like, ooh. So it was like, it didn't do it for me. And the difficulty spikes were stupid to me. It just like, I'm all for difficulty. I like that stuff. I've played so many of the Dark Souls, like the From Software games. I've beaten them, whether I hate them or not, whether I didn't want to or not. So simple as that. Bullet hell roguelike, not for me.
Kind of opposite Pokemon where it's too easy. Where this one, Returnal, I technically beat the game, but there's a whole nother level to like beat it, and it's just insanely challenging, and it is so much luck based on your drops. There needs to be a challenge, but also like a challenge that you can accomplish that's not solely based on luck. And I liked Returnal.
Hades.
Yeah, there you go.
Again,
the perfect roguelike.
The perfect roguelike.
Yeah, like, in my opinion, I think it's okay to have completely punishing, soul-crushing difficulty, but you can't be spiky about it. I think the spikiness is what really kills that. Like Diablo, it gets to a point in Diablo where I'm like, I'm out. My build sucks. I wasn't smart enough to do a build good enough to get to this point, and I'm out. I had a challenge up until now. I feel like I got a lot out of the game. I know when I'm beat, but to go from like, all right, I cleared the campaign the first time. Let's ramp up the difficulty a little bit. It's like, we're ramping up the difficulty all the way. That's not good. That's not good design.
No. And so then Gran Turismo 7. I was so excited for this game. I have Gran Turismo 1, Gran Turismo 2, Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I have Gran Turismo 4. I skipped out on 5 and 6 because I didn't have a PlayStation 3. So that's the only reason why. And then here we were. And I was like, dude, I haven't had a Gran Turismo in so long. I did have Sport. I got it on sale. I played the hell out of that game. A whole lot. But that was not a proper Gran Turismo game. So here I was, super excited for this game. I put like at least 60 hours into this game still. And I technically finished it, I guess. But like, the main campaign sucks. The way they do everything sucks. And the big reason why this game just got... I've never returned to it again, is because they came out of the gate, and you can tell this was a microtransaction game. Like, this was, here is the full game, like those memes of, like, EA and Activision and all these other companies, stupid companies, where they're like, the base game is this little chunk over here, and they'll say, that's $70. But then if you want the rest of the game, you got to pay, like, another $150, right? Garbage. I'll sum it up in one example. In every other Gran Turismo, you would get duplicate cards. So sometimes you'd win them by chance. You'd get just random cars. Like at the end, it'd be like, oh, okay, what do you win? You won this. Parts, money, cars, whatever. So sometimes you got duplicate cars, right? Maybe they were the exact duplicate, like literally even the paint job. You could sell that car to go buy a car you want. That feature was not in the freaking game because they wanted you to spend real money to get credits to buy that car that you actually wanted to win. Bullshit. Now, it got huge backlash. And another thing, always online. So within the first few weeks, there were literally two or three different times where I literally could not play this brand new fucking game that I just spent $70 on because I was so pumped. Actually, $80 on because I got the special edition 25th anniversary.
Oh no.
I couldn't play it. I literally couldn't play it. I couldn't do anything. Garbage. They came back and they like retracted a bunch of stuff and came back, but I was already lost. And I was like, you guys messed up. I don't like this. So that was really, it wasn't, the gameplay is great. The visuals were fine. I mean, they weren't, crazy, but they just got greedy. And it sucks because I kind of feel like that's Sony. Like now they're the leader. So I feel like they're just kind of the arrogant assholes that are just like, we can do it because we can. And you know what they did? They got my $80.
Dang. I didn't know any of that because I'm not involved with that. What was the community's like general?
Oh,
opinion of that? The same as yours?
So many people fell out of that game. So many people. And then don't even get, there's so many other things that I'm skipping right now, like the online racing and how it penalizes you. If somebody else is dicking around and they run into you, you'll get penalized. And it's just, and then of course I always love seeing after a race, wow, you suck. Wow, you race like an asshole. You blah, blah. I'm like, you probably are like 7 years old, dude. Shut up. Like, stop this. I could get into so much more.
Is that the newest Gran Turismo?
That is the newest Gran Turismo. Came out last year or the year before. I think it was February of last year.
That's a bummer. I don't really have anything to add to it other than what you said is like, wait, a modern game did that?
Yes.
What?
Yes. And
That's insane.
Crossing my fingers, Forza Motorsport's not like that. I don't think it will be because that will get me my fix that I need. Gran Turismo 7, I've left.
Racer. All right. So what I wanted to do with this topic is establish some pretty big games that we have all quit on. And we've dropped some doozies, I think. Like for me, Tears of the Kingdom, which I'll be back, right? Paper Mario, Hogwarts Legacy, Scott talked about Pokemon and Doom Eternal. Mike just hit on Gran Turismo. I wanted to paint that picture to show that like these are some big games that people are quitting. That's not to say they're bad games overall or critically, but there are reasons to not play a game for us. And that's why I want to hear from anyone that's listening to this. Drop it in our YouTube comments or come say hi on Twitch or Discord. What are some games that you quit? I want to know. And I wanted to paint that picture so we can then really wrap it up with 3 questions that I have for you guys. What is the biggest reason for quitting a game? The unforgivable sin. You could name one thing that if a game does, you're like, screw you, I am done. And I will go first. For me, very simple, yet broad answer is there's no fun factor or reward for playing the game. There is no point in continuing it. It's just not fun. If you're not fun, I'm not going to play you. That is the unforgivable sin. That's why I will quit a video game. Scott, I'm going to ask you first. What is the unforgivable sin that makes you quit a game early?
I'm actually the opposite of Matt. I will play a game that's not fun if the story is great. There's plenty of examples I can give. If you have a terrible story, though, and you have pretty poor gameplay, I'm not going to go finish you. You can even have mediocre gameplay and an okay story. I'll finish you. Any of the combinations you give, I'll probably finish you. But if your story is bad, that is the kiss of death for me. If I don't care what happens in these characters, I'm like, the bad guy can win, butcher everybody on the screen, and you play the rest of the game as the bad guy playing volleyball with all the heroes' heads. If the story sucks, it's like, okay, whatever. I don't care. That doesn't move me at all. Like, you have to give me a reason to care and keep wanting to see what happens next.
And what's interesting is a lot of gamers, like Diablo, for example, they don't listen to story. They're just there for the gameplay. And different games kind of vibe with different things. But at least if you're gonna pretend to have a story, I agree. It has to be something. Like I understand it's not going to be like an Academy Award winning show, Oscar winning movie, whatever it is. I get that one. That's a good one from Scott. You have to make your story actually matter somewhat.
It needs to be
Mike,
engaging.
yeah,
That's the word.
you
Engage.
have to
Like
care.
engage you.
And that's one reason I'm really liking Final Fantasy 16 is I didn't think I was really going to care that much about the story, but I'm like, I actually care what is going on in this world that you have built. And I was not expecting that with this Final Fantasy game. I was expecting over the top, weeby, angsty nonsense, but I'm like, dang, this is kind of dark. This is kind of cool. Like that's the biggest reason I keep playing. That the gameplay's fun, albeit a little too easy. But that story is really driving me. Mike, for you, what is the unforgivable sin that will cause you to quit a game?
No sense of progression. I mean, simple as that. So you can like that's why I don't like roguelikes. That's why I don't like difficult games just for the sake of difficulty. If they're difficult and they give you the tools to be better and to get better and build out and improve, I will play that difficult game over and over and over until I beat it, right? I need progression. I need a good sense of progression. Mentioning Hades again. I died so many times, but I always felt like there was another line I could hear, another thing I could purchase, another way I could upgrade. Oh, well, this opened up over here. Like there was always something all the way through to the end. The end, right? So I need progression.
Game has to feel like you're not just doing the same thing over and over, which is not to say, add 50 different mechanics to oversaturate the game, but it's got to feel like you're doing something, at least your character, or at least, some form of success. I agree with that one for sure. Here's my next question for you guys. When you are in a rough game, before you quit, what helps you get through that rough game? For me, it's about distraction. I will play music. I will have something on in the background. I will turn on subtitles. Like if a game has awful soundtrack, I'll be like, we're just not going to listen to you, man. That's what helps me is just distraction. Like distraction. Let's get through this chore. I'm going to ask Mike now, what gets you through a rough game?
So I was actually thinking about taking Scott's answer, but I was like, to not be redundant. So just so that you know, I'm fully on board with Scott's answer as well. I'll let him say it. But very much like what Scott said, I have to be invested in some way, shape, or form, whether it's fan service, whether it's a good story. I have to be invested. I have to be engaged, or I have to really love the franchise. And a good example of this is Metal Gear Solid 5. I hate that game. They did that series dirty. Literally, I got halfway through and I was like, damn, this is so good. And then they literally took the first half of the game and redid it. And I'm not exaggerating. Look it up. And I was like, what the hell is this? You literally took the story and did it again? What am I watching? Garbage. But I finished it because I was so I love the Metal Gear Solid series. I love it. So I have to be invested in some way, shape, or form.
And that's what helps you get through a rough game is just that sheer determination and will to see the narrative through. Just kind of
I'll put up
swallow
with the
that
garbage
pill.
gameplay for a good story. I'll put up with the garbage story if there's really good gameplay. I've got to be invested in something in that game. Like it's engaged me and pulled me in. And then I kind of do what you do. I don't pay attention to anything else. I just focus in on that one thing that I like.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Scott, lay it on me. What gets you through a crappy or a rough game?
All right. So in the biz, I'm what is known as a trophy whore or achievement whore. And that's like, as established in previous episodes, anti-Matt. Me, like, I guess a great example, I'm sorry to kind of rain on your parade a bit, Mike. Well, I'm not sure if you played the game yet or you're just replaying it. I did not like Spider-Man Miles Morales. I did not like it. And literally,
sad. I have played it before. Sad. It's good.
Oh, you have played. Well, to each their own. I respect your opinion, even if it may be wrong. But anyway, it literally was at the point I'm like, I don't like this. I kind of want to stop. And then I'm looking at the trophies and like, I'm almost at the end. And I really want to get the trophy for beating the game if I'm at this far. Yeah, I'm just going to go for it. You'd be surprised how effective trophies and achievements are at getting lizard brains like myself to like, I don't like doing this, but I also want to have like 30 extra points on my gamer score. So whatever, let's just go for it. So
Especially if they're easier to get,
it
like the
works.
Spider-Man games.
Yeah,
Those are
it
easy
works.
to get.
It works.
So you don't regret beating Spider-Man Miles Morales mainly because you got those trophies, Scott?
Little regret,
Little
bit.
regret? Okay. Well, then that leads me to my final question that I want people to think about. And I would love to hear this in the comments as well. Are there any games that you did finish that you would wish that you just quit, that you never beat? You put it down. For me, it was Callisto Protocol. That game was such a chore. It was such a lazy trope. I hated the sound design because I hate most spoopy sound design. It's just like, ooh, here's some weird violin. It's getting fast. Is someone chasing you? Nah, just kidding. Like, I just find that lazy and pedantic. I don't know if that's how you use that word. I just wanted to use it. But for me, it was Callisto Protocol. I beat that game out of sheer spite over the fact that I paid like full price for the game, almost full price for that game. I was just like, I spent money. I'm gonna beat this. That was a game I wish I just quit on. Let's go with Scott on this one. Scott, what are games you wish that you just quit earlier that you
Well,
didn't beat?
it wasn't part of my original outline, but I guess I have to say Spider-Man Miles Morales.
There you go.
Yeah, didn't really enjoy that one. Thought it was a worse version of Spider-Man. The biggest one though is I was gonna say individual games, but I guess I can just lump in as a whole. And this is me becoming a bit of an edgelord, trying to trigger people out there, but not intentionally, I guess. JRPGs. There has not been a JRPG in a very long time that I have liked. I'm sorry. To be honest, the last JRPG that I did not regret playing all the way through was Lost Odyssey, which is really funny because one of my biggest, like, I really wish I didn't waste 100 hours on this, is Mike is typing in our thing saying play Xenoblade Chronicles. Anyway, I'm ignoring Mike's distraction. Let me do my freaking bit. There's a game called Blue Dragon. See, like, I don't think I've said this to even you guys. One of the main reasons I bought an Xbox was because of Blue Dragon. You may have not ever heard of it. It was an Xbox exclusive. Artwork was done by the guy who did Dragon Ball Z, Akira Toriyama. Had a bunch of people who worked on Chrono Trigger, one of my favorite games of all time, on it. And it's just like, sold. How can this game be bad? It was bad. And I literally kept playing it in the futile hope of like, the first 90 hours has been bad. Maybe it comes together at the last 10 hours. And then I get to the end and beat it. And like, it never came together. This was a terrible 100 hours. Another really big example of that is Kingdom Hearts 3. That was another game where I just kept playing it and I was hoping like, I hope this gets better. Maybe this gets better. And then you get to the Pirates of the Caribbean level. I'm like, oh, yeah, it got better. And then it gets bad again and it's over. And it's like, I really wish I didn't play this. And I'm sad to say that's just kind of the norm for me with JRPGs nowadays. That's just not doing it for me. I'm sorry. I know Mike and his weebness. He'll probably throw a bunch of games for me to try. But
You know what? I need people in the comments to tell Scott to play Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Maybe that's a new sub goal, right? If we get to
first person.
So if we get to 200 subscribers, if we get to 200 subscribers, you have to buy and play Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I'm not even making you play the other ones. Now I'm not even letting you
pushing that one. At least you're pushing that one and not freaking Persona 5, and I have to play it for a 500,000 freaking years like Matt.
I mean, we've already run that one into the ground.
I think Xenoblade's bigger than Persona. My issue is that I don't play it on stream.
Persona's bigger mainstream. Xenoblade is getting to that point now.
Hours. I meant
hours.
Okay.
No. I mean, you could do main story way less than Persona. Persona 5 is freaking at least 120-hour game unless you know what you're doing.
I do think if Scott is going to agree to play this game, someone will have to give it to him. So let's not make him pay money for it if we're gonna get him to play that game.
All right.
So I will put my money where my mouth is. Okay. Because I legitimately think both of you guys would find enjoyment in this game. This would be a game that you regret finishing.
Okay.
If we get to 200 subscribers, I will get you the game and you have to play it from beginning to end.
All I'm going to say is I have a rule whenever I go out drinking, and it's a very foolish rule, and every time I tell people it, I regret it. If you buy me a drink, I will drink it. It may not even be something I like. I may be at the point where I probably should stop drinking. And this has gotten me into lots of very bad situations in my life. But I'm just throwing it out there. You take that information how you will.
Oh, this has been a great conversation for me just for this. Also, my wife 100% agrees with you on Kingdom Hearts 3, Scott. 100%.
Hey, I'm high-fiving her. I know she can't.
Yeah.
I hope she feels like a
In a
positive high
in a
five
month when
vibes.
this drops, she'll high five back.
You
I'm
should have just
sure.
been like Matt and I and just not play it. Give up
Yeah,
already.
you know what?
There you
You guys are smarter than I am in that regard.
Mike, tell me about a game that you finished and which you just quit earlier.
2 of them. Probably gonna bring the I love PlayStation. I love my Sony stuff, right? But probably gonna anger some Sony ponies out there. Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm very glad that I beat that and almost damn near platinumed everything, the DLC included. I did platinum the main game, I believe. That's one, and Metal Gear Solid 5, as I said earlier. I can't believe that turd made it out into the world. That made me so angry. So
That's
angry.
big words from Mike, who is a big fan of the Metal Gear series, just so you guys know. So let's recap this conversation here. We're concluding our conversation about games and why we quit them. We talked about some pretty big games. We talked about Paper Mario, 3 Paper Mario games, Hogwarts Legacy, Monster Hunter World, Phantom Hourglass, Tears of the Kingdom, Doom Eternal, games, Pokemon games even. And I know I'm missing a few from you guys. Let's see. We have from Mike, we
Horizon,
also
Blue
have Returnal.
Dragon, Kingdom Hearts, Callisto
Yep.
Protocol. There's a whole bunch of them there.
A lot of games that were at least well known at the time. We even talked about some games that we wish we quit that we didn't.
Yeah.
So here's my question for all of you that are listening and watching. You don't have to tell us, just think about it because it's a fun thing. Not how many, but are there any like major games that you have played that you quit because of whatever reason? And if so, I want to know about it. Tell me. And what games have you beaten that you're like, wow, I want to die. I wasted my life. I wish I had quit that game early. Let us know. I think that'd be fun to kind of hear that from you guys. But for me, this was a fun conversation because I was mainly curious for the difference between myself and Mike and Scott, because I play a lot of games and don't finish a lot of games where they will see it through, be it for achievements, trophies, whatever. I was very curious to hear what would get even them to stop playing a game. That was my main point of wanting to talk about this. But that was a fun conversation for me. Even though we love games and we just spent most of this podcast crapping over some games, we still love video games and we still love you. And I hope you stick around and answer some questions for us. We are the Buds Busting Balls. All right. We are the Buds Busting Balls. And I can't remember if I'm doing the promotion. I think Mike is. We are the Buds Busting Balls. I'm going to bust Mike's ball and say, Mike, can you take it from me? Can you promote us? And then can you segue into our new favorite segment?
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So, first of all, you should like this video. You should share this video with all your friends because you are super cool. You should subscribe. If you're listening on the podcast, be sure to share this with everybody you want. No joke. This will be the first time these guys have heard it, and I've been meaning to talk to them. I've thought about maybe making even little stickers or like car decals or whatever to put on cars, because I think it would be so funny for somebody to just be driving and be like, what the hell? Bud's busting balls? The hell is that? So at least, maybe we can get some randos out there in the world.
Oh, man.
But you should do all that. And then the biggest thing that I want you guys to do, you listener, you viewer, leave comments, interact with us. We want to get your feedback, especially with topics like this, and ask us questions. I'm going to be posting a link down in all of the videos of our shared spreadsheet where you can ask whatever video. You can do a video call. You could do a call. We will play it in the podcast. Obviously, everything within reason. It doesn't have to be PG-13 or PG, like just within reason. Use your big boy and big girl brain, right? You got it. I believe in you. But ask us questions so we can answer, we can interact with you. And you the best, right? We appreciate you being here. And with that said, speaking of questions, I'll lead us right into the question that we're doing tonight.
So I heard you had a question. So many questions. Why don't you ask your question and the buds will bust an answer for you.
So did we I believe we fell on this New Vegas one. So this is asked by, oh, this is my favorite person asking questions, Anonymous. And this is for everyone. And the question / statement is, what's your favorite Fallout game and why is it New Vegas?
I know who asked this question, but they said anonymous. So I won't
Anonymous.
say their name.
Respect Anonymous, Matt.
I will respect the Anons. Truth be told, I've only played 2 Fallout games. Fallout 4, which I absolutely hated, and Fallout 76, which I actually enjoyed. I actually enjoyed Fallout 76. I also got it for free, so that kind of helped quite a bit. But I hear nothing but good things about New Vegas. So if I had to pick between the 2 I've played, it would be Fallout 76, the least Fallout game of them all. But I'm not a big Fallout guy myself. I think Mike should answer last because he's played more. I don't know if Scott's played a single Fallout game.
I have not played a single Fallout game, and that's very deliberate. Because here's one of my concerns. When I hear that, like, I love Fallout games, it has that lovely Fallout lack of QA done and all those lovely Fallout bugs, and it's just like, that doesn't sound like my jam. Like, bugs and things not working right shouldn't be a selling point. One time I got very, like, I forget which one it was on the Xbox 360 that I felt like had 8 expansions and went on forever. And this was back when I was poor Scott, and I was like, yeah, I want to go own a game that'll last me 1,000 hours. I looked up a YouTube video of this game, of the combat. I was like, all right, look at this gnarly mute. Oh, everything's paused. Okay. He's aiming at this body part. Oh, he's selecting this menu now. Oh, he's using this item. Oh, and like, it was 5 minutes of the screen being paused, just looking at this mutant about ready to bash his head in. And that's all it took for me. Is like, Fallout, that's not my jam. If it's your jam, more power to you, man. I love you. Keep on keeping on. Me, not my jam.
And what you were talking about there was Fallout 3. Had a lot of extra stuff, and specifically the mechanic that you're talking about, which a lot of people enjoy, which I actually did enjoy. It's not good to watch. It's very fun to engage with, is the VATS system, VATS, which that is now not part of newer Bethesda games, I believe, like Starfield, right? I barely played any New Vegas. I did not play too much. I played Fallout 3. I was probably one of the people that you were like, man, Mike's probably playing this. I was probably one of the people that you're like, well, people are playing these giant games. I had everything with it. I might have even gotten all of the achievements on that game. Like, I played the hell out of that game. And it was so overwhelming that first time you come out of the vault, and it was just like, it was like the Breath of the Wild feel of like, have fun. And I was like, but what do I do? What? And I got lost in that game. Loved Fallout 3. Played Fallout 4. I did not love Fallout 4. I hated it. I was so bored with it. I don't know if maybe my taste changed, because I think it was largely the same, except for building. You could build in that one. Fallout 76 I never played because that looked like booty when it launched, and you probably played it, Matt, when they fixed it, kind of a No Man's Sky thing.
Yes.
And I only played a little bit of New Vegas, and to my understanding, and a lot of people have suggested I play New Vegas, and the reason is because it is kind of like what you said with Fallout 76, although Fallout 76 is more, everything is the least Fallout, right? But New Vegas is like the least Fallout from the main series that you can, like, it's still the gameplay largely, but what makes it great are the quests and the stories. They're really good. And the little bit that I played, I can attest to that. It was just very, very good. Like, the world building and like what happened to these vaults and the people and the stories that were told, whether live or it happened and you just showed up after the fact. Like, think of like walking into a vault that's empty and you're like, what the hell happened here? And you unfold the story as you go through it. So it's very good in that regard. So I should play New Vegas one of these days amidst all my bazillion other games that I have to play, right?
Viewer question.
Done.
You know,
Checked
you know-
off.
Mike, do you know what's next?
Oh, but I gotta ask though, is there a rant tonight?
Oh, is there a rant tonight? All right.
Let's go, Scotty Porta Potty. Rant time, go.
Look over there, he just doesn't care. He's going off
You know what really grinds my gears, potty maniacs out there? It's actually going to be two things tonight. That's right. This is going to be a twofer rant. The first thing that really grinds my gears is Scotty Porta Potty rants, at least recently. You know what Scotty Porta Potty rants were intended to do? It was to open the eyes of you sheeple, to take these things that you like and convince you you really don't like them. You should be ashamed of yourself for liking these things. And I've been too agreeable lately, going for the low-hanging fruit. Like people playing their music too loud in their cars. Like, who the fuck likes that? I mean, honestly, I'm going for the low-hanging fruit. I need to go back to my roots. I need to make Scotty Porta Potty rants great again. And that's what's going to lead me into my next bit. It's time for you all. Take a dose of reality, take a step back, and look deep down inside yourself and admit that Led Zeppelin is an overrated band and it isn't that good. I mean it. Well, I just said it. That's right. I'm going in hard. And this is the one band, Beatles, Rolling Stones, you name it. You go out on the street, you insult them. They're like, oh, they're good. Oh, you don't know. You insult Led Zeppelin out there in the open, you get torn to shreds. Why? You know what makes a Led Zeppelin song 100 times better? You get the first 90 seconds, the last 90 seconds, you cut out the middle, and then you put them together, and then you got a listenable Led Zeppelin song that doesn't put you to sleep. Unless you're stoned. I guess maybe that goes and changes the fun factor of that. So if you like very long, drawn-out, boring songs, or you're really stoned, go ahead. You keep listening to your Led Zeppelin. As for me, a connoisseur of good music, I am going to leave them out. And if life had DLC, I would pay the $15 never hear Stairway to Heaven again for the rest of your life pack in a heartbeat. God. Thank you. God bless America.
I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to let you go down with the ship on that one. So, that's great. I like it, man. That is the content that we crave.
Power.
Yep.
Somebody has to speak truth to power.
And that is I'm going to agree with you because that's the content that we crave. That's what we want. All right. Well, I'll leave that at that. I'll just leave that alone. Move on here. Thank you for watching. This is it. This is the end of the episode. I know it's sad. Another hour has gone by that we've wasted your time, but it's not really wasted because we went through a journey together, didn't we? And you've probably listened to this podcast in like 3 or 4 chunks, right? So it feels like we're family now, right? And like a good family member, you should like and subscribe and give us that support, right? be a triple B shill. We would love you forever for it.
Just
anyway,
like my mom liking my Twitch channel and showing up in chat and not knowing what's going on at all.
Exactly.
She really does that. She does
really show up sometimes.
Right. MVP mom right there.
Yes. But either way, we appreciate you. Thanks for putting up with us, listening, watching, however you're doing this. Hope to see you next time. And remember, check out those questions and leave us some comments. What are some games that you just couldn't finish? They were just too bad. Or maybe you finished and you're like, I want that time back. I want my life back. Until next time, we appreciate you. Bye.